Another concern, Josh brought it up, is that if you're going to put the version that doesn't represent Zack's work. Now, this is the thing. Zack Snyder fans are split. Some people believe that the Netflix version is definitely a Zack movie, and other people don't believe that it is. Okay. The argument I could make is that, it misrepresents his work, and there are going to be many people who never
Here's the thing,
watch his work.
My problem with this whole narrative is all 4 fucking movies exist. That's my problem. They exist right now. They literally do.
Okay.
And the first 2 were not unsuccessful. No one has illustrated why the existence of the first 2 would hamper the next 2. If we saw numbers, if we heard flops, if we heard word of mouth, if the general audience reaction in life was that these movies just absolutely suck, then I would be like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. They fumbled, but that's not the case. Worst case scenario, they may not watch the director's cut just because they've already watched the first 2. That's the worst case scenario, right? To me, because I'm not hearing negativity by and large generally.
Well, some
best case scenario, they're going to return to the material in the form of the director's cut because they saw the first 2 and they're like, oh shit, there's another version.
Right. But both versions, and Josh brings this out, both versions.
No, Josh, that's not the consensus. From who though? Twitter? That's my question.
No, I mean,
is it Twitter or is it? I'm not talking critics. I don't give a fuck about a critic. No one, look, critics are damaging Deadpool and Wolverine if that's the case, and they're on their way to 1 billion. Critics are by and large pointless and worthless.
We're both speaking right now based upon our impressions of what the consensus is, and we have to kind of create the image of the consensus in our minds, right?
No, we don't have to do that. I literally want someone to tell me right now, give me information that I can tangibly see or feel right now where someone has said, by and large, the narrative is out here in the ether, these movies suck, without saying Rotten Tomatoes.
I mean, listen, I don't. So Josh brought this up, and I feel the same way. I had 2 friends, 2 brothers, friends of mine, come over to my place, to my apartment, to watch the first the Netflix cut part 1. Right? They came away hating it. I was actually defending it because that was my knee-jerk reaction. I was super uncomfortable. I was very upset that they didn't like it, and they were saying all these things about it, and I was really conflicted because I felt like, okay, I believe it. I didn't really like that movie, and they're saying it, but I didn't like them telling me that. I didn't like them saying it.
I'll add to the dog pile of people hating it. I only know one person that didn't like it, and he does not like Zack Snyder movies. One person. He was talking mad shit, and he's a Star Wars fan, huge Star Wars guy. Everyone else, and
we have different pools, I guess.
Admittedly, it was a lot of women that I spoke to, and they loved it. Some of them just liked it because they're not really into sci-fi like that. They're like, it was cool because I don't really like sci-fi, but
yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, so we've been talking about our experiences, like, let's say, getting out of the theater of watching like these movies, Batman v Superman, for example, or having people over to watch, Rebel Moon and what they thought of it. And I've been having a lot of bad experiences. These are also completely different people. They're not the same people that I've been talking about. So, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I have the ultimate sample size, but even still, I mean,
neither am I. But that's my point. Yeah. And we're kind of just picking on the points that Josh was saying, mostly me. But here's my question, though. You saw it in the theater in New York. The employees warned. I'm going back to what Scott said originally. Would these same people in New York have thought this movie was great if the director's cuts came out first? That's my whole point. I don't think that let's be honest here. The director's cuts were hyper violent, sexual, and they were drawn out. right? These aren't negative. I'm painting them as negatives as someone who loved the movies, right? I love the director's cut. I didn't just like them, I loved them. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, would the director's cut somehow make these people in New York think any better? My guess is no. I don't think they would look at, if they could not survive the regular versions and go, that was dope, that was decent, whatever. And I'm not saying anybody has to like it. What I'm saying is, it goes back to what Sky said. These movies were going to do whatever they were going to do no matter what version came out, and the response may have been even fucking worse, especially people who are detractors of the man.
And okay, so I like Josh. Josh is like really, he's speaking my language as he usually does.
I dig Josh actually doing this, because you know, it gives me another foil to bounce off of.
Yeah. but no, I mean, this is the thing, is that I have an idealism that I believe that
Josh, my dear, you are very optimistic, and I appreciate that. But no, I sincerely disagree. I think that the same people that hated the regular version would have doubly hated the director's cut, because they would have been like, why does this guy have brains in his hand? Why did he have the kid smash the guy? I don't think so. But okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, so earlier in our conversation, I was trying to make, while we were speaking, I was trying to make some arguments for why some of the complaints about Zack Snyder's movies were genuine. Okay. Now it seems as if the conversation is flipped, and what you're saying is that the complaints about the director's cut would be genuine from the bottom up, not from the top down, genuinely, if they saw his movie, right? So I just think that's interesting, like. And I don't know what to say about that. Earlier, I admitted I don't know. I'm just going off of my impression of what I've heard, my own friends, my own family, people like that. And if all else being said and being accounted for, if I had to make a decision on what version was the version that Zack Snyder gets to represent himself by, I would hope that a little more faith would be given to his work. And the response to that is usually so cynical. It's like, oh, there's no way in the world. And it's like, it can't happen. And knowing that as this axiomatic truth, that it cannot be successful or even justify its existence in any way. This is the only response. I just think
I
that's
get what
a little
you're saying.
cynical.
Your argument is that this isn't an absolute, like they could have come out with the director's cut versions, and
maybe it doesn't make it much money, but
right. I get what you're saying.
It justifies its existence. At least,
I won't argue. I won't argue that there's no that we shouldn't look at this as absolutist in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that this is. My argument is just simply to say, like, while everybody is arguing and saying they should have done the director's cuts originally,
of course, blah, blah, blah. And they're stupid. They're stupid.
Yes, yeah. Because I'm like, you can't look at this like fuck all this art shit. The soul is compromised bullshit. Like, I'm no offense to Josh. This isn't to you, Josh. I just think that that's hyperbole for people who are, I've been a lover of film since I could freaking, have vision to see, man. Like, so I get it. I just don't think that people were looking at Rebel Moon and thinking that their ethos wasn't the soul. No, they knew what they were getting into. It's a sci-fi action movie. And I'm not saying that Zack dumbed down either versions. I'm just saying,
so you're saying
a whole lot of hyperbole and a whole lot of just bullshit conjecture to make it to strengthen people's points.
I agree.
I think this is all personal to me, because by and large, I'm not seeing, in my own anecdotal experience, the reason for people to act as though the director's cut should have came out first.
There are very few Snyder fans, like hardcore, like I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I mean, I was here through the whole thing, and I had a very deep part to play in a lot of it, right? And I kind of fell off and came back, and for various reasons, but whatever, very few of us, are going to make the argument that that the Netflix cut was in fact critically compromised. It wasn't good. Okay. We're going to be incentivized to defend even that version, and it's not for necessarily, it might be for a just reason, but it's not necessarily an honest one, you know?
I just defend the rollout. Anybody can have their opinion about what they think about it as in terms of quality. I don't give a shit. It doesn't keep me up at night. The the thing that metaphorically keeps me up is this argument of the rollout, because like I'm a well-traveled dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I have a variety of different people that I interact with daily, weekly, monthly. I travel from uh, cross country tons of times per year and interact and talk to people. So like my experience and my opinion is probably more varied than the average Joe who is like, well, they should have done this first or that first. And then I go, why? Well, because people think it sucks. And I go, why? Because I went to this one thing and they said it. And it's like, well, I've talked to a variety of different people. I've talked to moms, fathers, single people, old people, executives, writers, directors. I've talked to you know what I'm saying? Like varying degrees of people. And I've only found one person that truly hated the experience. And I was like, okay, cool. I get it. But my point is, I don't think Netflix rolls out the epic worlds of Zack Snyder after a failure. I just don't think they do that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so in regards to, so Netflix could coincidentally continue with the franchise to an indeterminate point. Like we don't know, maybe it's the point that Zach feels comfortable with. Maybe it comes earlier than a point that Zach feels comfortable with. I don't know. Right. But, hey, sure. I don't necessarily think that they're going to slam the brakes. I never necessarily said that. I will. Another thing that I
Oh,
thought
no,
about.
that wasn't me picking on you per se. I'm just saying, like, I'm breathing life into why, the success versus failure, the why this came first versus that. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, well, I feel like you're kind of using me as a prop. Although you've given lip service and said, hey, I'm not saying this against you, but you're kind of using me as a proxy to talk about how the people who are being dumb are saying these things.
Sure.
And we both know this. We spent the whole stream talking about that. So this is not even a factor,
Right.
The real thing that needs to be spoken about is basically whether this is good for Zach, a concern that I have is
What do
that
you? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I was gonna ask,
a
but you're probably
concern
gonna
that I
say it
have
anyway.
is that, okay, so we need to recognize that what we're doing is we are putting faith in Netflix as a company. Okay, sure, they did it to begin with, so a certain portion of faith is deserved. They're deserving of that, right? That's fine. But then also with this, we have to realize that the ball is completely in their court. So any narrative, okay, that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy against his director's cut is a concern, not an absolute just be all end all, but a concern. So not
Right.
only did they roll out the Netflix cuts, the director's cuts 8 months after the original, it was terrible. I mean, the experience, I mean, don't pretend like you didn't see it. There was no banner for it. Okay, there was no banner. It wasn't like, here, watch the
Although
director's
you
cuts
said the
now.
rollout was terrible.
Of the director's cuts, not the concept of doing the Netflix cuts and then the director's cut. Like that was, I guess you could say it's smart. But
No,
listen, let me
I
finish.
disagree, but I'm gonna let you finish.
The experience of actually watching the director's cuts, you open up netflix.com, okay, you're not greeted with a massive banner, director's cuts available now, right? You have to you have to either type it in, and by the way, when you just type in Rebel Moon, the director's cuts aren't the first thing to pop up. It's actually the original cuts, okay? Or you can scroll down to where it says what's new, and you keep scrolling like to the right until you until it pops up. It's not like the first thing that's there. The second version appears first on that little carousel before the first version. So you actually have to like hover over it to make sure that you're clicking on the first part and then the second part next, right? And also just the advertisements, they have one thing on their Netflix Twitter page to advertise that the director's cut's coming out 3 days, 3, 2, 1,
So
and
real
then the
quick,
day
so
of.
essentially your argument is about the art of it. Understood. My argument is the business of it. Coupled with the art, it's a symbiosis. You cannot have one
And
without
that's
the
what I'm
other.
talking about right now.
And I do not think that this rollout was terrible at all, because I'm looking at it right now. Right now. Right now. That right there. The epic worlds of Zack Snyder.
Okay, that's all right. So you've gotten to experience
Right, but my question, Mike, I get what I already know what you're gonna say. My question to you is this: what the fuck do you want them to do with a rated R film? Do you want them to roll out the red carpet on a rated R film that they obviously are trying to? They're trying to milk the PG-13 franchise version.
listen,
You
eight
guys are going
months.
to have to. You guys are just going to have to accept that Netflix is trying to milk a PG-13 franchise. They want a franchise. They got their franchise. You're going to have to just go to sleep with that. Like there's
Okay,
no other way to look at that.
okay. So I get that, but at what? So how far? Okay, why not 12? Why not 16 months after the original? Why not even put it on their interface? You have to type it in. Like at what point do they have to make it difficult to watch the director's cuts before you start to give some kind of lip service to the fact that maybe they could have
I
done
don't
it
think it
better?
was that difficult though. Oh, okay. Forget what I was about to say. That I can agree with. Could they have done it better? Sure. You said it was terrible though. Those are two completely different statements. They could have done it better. Sure, absolutely. I agree.
It was very
Does
lax.
terrible though? No, not at all.
But listen, okay,
Not at
so
all.
the and we keep on saying this too. We say this every time that someone criticizes in bad faith the nature of the Netflix versus the director's cut, right?
Also, as Scott just pointed out, part 2 came out 4 months ago. What's your argument for the time frame in which they rolled out? What do you mean? Like I'm lost on that. Like why that's a point of contention for you.
Well, because the amount of time that it takes between the original version and the director's cut, right, is time that especially for the people who are most passionate about it to kind of die out. Okay, so when it first came out, we put a lot of our energy into talking about and hyping up the franchise. By the time the director's cut came out, naturally, and this is no fault of any one individual, it's just there's not as much energy behind it. Okay, so what I'm saying is that it's a spectrum. Okay, you don't have to roll out quote unquote the red carpet, but there's something on the other end of that spectrum that is the opposite of that, and then there's something in between. And I think that Netflix could do a little bit more encouraging and promoting the director's vision than what they did. And I think that people are such in a defense mode that they're not even considering what they could have done better. That's what I'm saying.
Considering it 100%. Like I'm in consideration fully of what you're saying. What I will not consider is that it was terrible. See, you're having more nuance now. You dialed it down. You started off saying it was terrible. I don't think it was terrible at all. I think that they illustrated perfectly what they wanted to do, and they delivered. They said that they wanted to roll out a PG-13 version. Zach said in several interviews why. Scott Stuber came out and illustrated why. So the audience was not ill prepared. We knew what was up. And then they gave us the director's cuts, however long they took to do it.
Okay. Well, so let me answer some people in the chat. They said 4 months. Yeah, 4 months from the last movie, right?
Right.
So yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, that's still a long time, but so that's not necessarily the W that you think it is. But
I
Um,
don't think it's an L either. I don't think you saying however
well, it's
long it
not
came
one
out's an
or the
L.
other, but I'm
Yeah, that's
saying
what I'm
that
saying. He
we
just
should be
correcting the detail. Because if you're trying to say that the time that it came out was bad, then yeah, it's half of what you're saying.
okay.
That would make
Well,
it less
uh,
bad than what you're trying to illustrate,
okay.
if
Well,
anything.
I think that the discussion is starting to become a little bit more like it's less affirmative. I'm trying to work toward an idea, and you're kind of just like, oh well, that's not necessarily true. So what are you trying to like?
Well,
Come on, man. Like,
because you guys are you're not convincing. I don't think you're not convincing enough is what I'm trying to say. Like you're trying to figure out how to make this a damning thing when I think it's more nuanced than that. I think you're actually making better points by saying they could have done better. I agree with that. They could have dropped it in during this time frame. I agree with that.
okay.
I that I can agree with. That I can we can go back and forth
Well, I
on
mean,
in a way that's in
anything that I
agreement. Not that
say
you're
will
even trying to
be
agree, you know.
anything that I do say will be
Mhm.
me dying on a hill because nothing. We're stuck in time. This is a moment, and we have yet to see what's going to happen in the future, right? So, I don't really have much more to say. I think I hit most of my points, but what I will just say is this, okay?
Mhm.
Um, let them eat cake, right? Go for it. I'm going to be a little bit more on the skeptical side. I'm not going to apologize for that. The
Oh,
reason is
nor should
because,
you. I appreciate the skepticism. I just
you know,
want there to be no more nuance with the skepticism instead of just flat out like going on the extreme side of things. I
well,
think that's weird.
there are so few people. So there are relatively few people actually saying being negative, and there's even a smaller subset of that are being negative and trying to speak on behalf of Snyder, right? Speak in his behalf. Such as myself, right? So, um, I don't really think that this extreme. We all know who those people are, right?
True.
And ultimately, you know what? Regardless of how well we think Netflix is doing or how bad they're doing, doesn't have any effect on what they're actually doing. They could this could be the biggest success that Netflix or any streaming service has ever seen in the history of entertainment, or the Army verse and the Rebel Moon verse could actually be canceled tomorrow, and it wouldn't make a
Mhm.
difference of what we say.
Well, all right, fair. Fair. I want to do something even more fair. We've heard from each other, Sky, the chat. Let's hear from Zach. Let's see what he thinks about what Netflix did. Zach, how you doing?
You got wine? Yeah. White
So
wine.
you're here live again.
Oh my gosh. How's it going?
Great on the New Geeks channel. Support you and everything you do, brother.
I appreciate it.
Much success to you.
Thank you.
I just want to ask one question.
Yeah.
How does it feel the rollout of the way Netflix is handling everything?
I feel it feels great. You know what? The amazing thing is like, when you do a director's cut, and it's like to DVD, it kind of disappears a little bit. Yeah. Not to be rude, but the cool thing about Netflix is, it's really released at the same level, so people can find it easily and experience it easily. So that's kind of cool.
What you guys did for this game changer.
Oh, cool.
To lead out with your brand being, I'm the director.
Yeah.
Expect something greater.
It's coming.
It's coming. So appreciate. I love it so
All
far.
right.
11 part one.
Thank you.
Part two.
All right.
Thank
soon.
you.
Well, really soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Live with Zach Man himself. So yeah, fair points. I get it. I'm more inclined to lean towards your argument that they could have done better, as opposed to looking at it as like some sort of death knell, you know. So
Yeah, I think that tone is a big thing. Especially, I mean, right now there's not that much tone policing going on. There's a little, but not that much because we have good faith and we know who each other's. We know what we're about, right?
yeah,
On places like social media, there's a ton of tone policing going on. Like there is no way to type out a concern without being absolutely just drilled.
right.
So yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I get what you're saying. I don't think people. There are probably very few people that have the skill for it. I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
play another
I
clip
get it.
for for just for the conversation of it all, because Zack Snyder, he said what he said, and then his wife, the lovely Deborah Snyder, had some words to say as well.
Hey, Deborah.
Hey, how are you?
Good to meet you again.
I know, good to see you.
Thanks for
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
This is the New Geek channel. Deborah Snyder, the ace, the queen. So my question to you is, how does it feel with the Netflix rollout, how they're handling it?
Oh my God, it's incredible. I mean, did you like pan around and see everybody here and they're having a great time? And we make movies for people, you know, we make movies for fans to watch. So to be able to interact with fans and to be here, it's so exciting. And for them to see Zack's vision, how he meant it to be, that's like we don't get a chance to do that often. So it's pretty incredible that Netflix gave us this chance.
I was telling Zach that this is like a game changer because his brand has become, I'm the director's guy. So Netflix is like, we're going to lead with that. That's pretty revolutionary for filmmaking, I think. So I'm rooting for you guys.
All right, well, thank you. Well, I hope you like part 1, and I'm excited for you to see part 2.
Oh, wonderful.
And for everybody out there, watch it and double thumbs up.
Definitely. Double thumbs up. They all do it, right?
First,
Thanks, Debbie. I appreciate it.
He's so nice and positive. It's hard to be mad when you're listening to Deborah, but yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
listen, I hope that well, I don't know. I don't hope necessarily anyone's right. I just hope that the best happens, you know, whatever that looks like, you know. So
yeah. And that's kind of my argument, is that, like, you know, like Josh says, PR speak. Well, I know you got PR. They have PR speak. There are people that have doom and gloom speak. Like, there's a lot of speaking going on. I just think that there is the interior, the reality of what I've experienced with people and the way they view these movies is going to be different than yours. It's going to be different. You know what I mean? So we got one more clip before we roll out of here.
Yo, chilling here. About to meet the man himself again, Zack Snyder. He's with Leon right now, signing some stuff, signing his T-shirt, his ZSSM shirt. Nobody's pawn, you dig? Right, hey, we are here. You know what I'm saying? ZSSM. We in the building.
All right, all the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Once again, hey, what's going on, Zach?
How's it?
Can you make that out? Hey, Skywalker, sir. What's going on?
You want me to make it out?
Yeah. Skywalker, SKII. Can you very quickly just talk about what it's been like in this week's lead up to Rebel Moon being released and everything that what Netflix has been doing with this epic Worlds of Zack Snyder stuff, because it's truly special.
Look, it's awesome, and I really appreciate those guys having the, you know, sort of foresight to like be able to like set that money aside so I could really do it the right way and all
Absolutely.
that, and they did. So it's really
Absolutely.
cool.
Hey, they seem to be supporting you a whole lot, even up to the ex-head of Netflix film is saying that they wanted your DC stuff on their platform. So it's been super dope, and yo, you can't wait to watch some director's cuts.
Awesome. All
Absolutely.
right. I can't wait for you.
Have a great day.
All right, cheers. All the best.
Yes.
See, like, that's like Sin Havoc saying, man. Like, I understand, I 100% understand the art of it all, and you know, never compromise. Look, there's a business side to it too. This guy's got a lot of shit going on behind the scenes, and a lot of different mouths to feed and please. So I just think that this was probably one of the best scenarios that could have come of it. Is it the best? No. There's many different things that they could have done. Is it the worst? Fuck no. And I refuse to sit here and act like it. You know what I mean?
Sure, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much my point. Like, I'm all about being fair and looking at all the nuanced conversations of it all. And I know, like you said, we can't people can't really do that successfully by and large on social media, but we can come on this platform and do it, you know.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate the giving the opportunity to speak about it, and not completely demonizing me, which is
No,
I appreciate that as well.
nah, no, because it's not like what you're saying is doesn't come with some sort of forethought. It's not like you're out here just like frothing at the mouth, like, no, you.
Yeah, and I love Zach's work, and I
Mhm.
absolutely want the best for his work. Like that is my number one priority. Even if some people don't believe that, that is the truth.
Mm,
So
100%. And look, Josh, I appreciate you giving your honesty, your transparency, your truth about the conversation in the chat. It was cool to read. It's just been super difficult articulating all the nuance of this to people over the last year. Yeah, and that's where channels like this hopefully come in. This is where conversations like this hopefully come in, and hopefully we can continue to do this in the future. Everybody go ahead and put your last thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to say, mention, or maybe touch on briefly. Everybody in the chat. And I appreciate you guys pulling up. This was kind of impromptu. Behind the scenes, I've been kind of cooking this up, but I didn't know exactly what day I was going to do it. And Millennial Mike was gracious enough to pull up again. I know you caught a lot of flack on the last video. I ain't gonna lie, from
well, and
the viewing
honestly, I
audience.
think I probably deserve some of that because it was early in it. This is the thing, right? I get a sniff of something that I don't like, and I just stick to it. I stick to my guns because I know I don't want to be a flip flopper. Like I'll admit I was wrong. I'll ask for forgiveness, not for permission.
Hey, and
So
you know what? That's probably, who would appreciate that? Probably Zach. That's one of the manliest phrases that one can utter as a man.